Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. This is going to be the Rosena Ranch Circuit Race. It's going to be I think it was 28-mile circuit race, which is 14 laps. It's 2 miles per circuit. And if you can see in the top left-hand corner there, it's kind of a little S shape. And it's on the same street, so it's basically an out and back with the U-turn. And today they're racing the guys and girls together just because the field was kind of small. So the 4-5 women are racing with the 4-5 men. I'm sorry, 4-5 women and Masters women racing with the 4-5 men. And I got Ellen here to help break down the video.
I was very happy to be able to start with the men, where in previous years I was much more apprehensive, but I really like the ability to draft and work with the men because typically this race gets broken apart and it's a very lonely race. At least that's been my experience pretty much every time I've raced it. So having a little bit of help out there is always appreciated, to just not be out there in the wind by yourself. The conditions were actually pretty nice for us. It was a little bit chilly in the morning, but the wind wasn't too heavy, and it did get a little bit warmer as the day progressed.
Yeah, and just to clarify, when you race a road race or a circuit race, and you're on the circuit or course at the same time as another group, you cannot draft those people you'll be disqualified if you draft another group unless they start you together and let you know that you can draft, because you have different numbers and all that kind of stuff. So if you don't start together, then you're not able to work with another group at all.
And the other times, I think one or two other times, we were able to start with the men, and I think Feline stayed with the men the whole time one year and, won the women's category pretty easily. And I'm out here with Jessie, there to the right. So wanted to race with her. She's raced a few times this year, new to racing, and I am looking forward to continuing to see her progression. And this little hill, I think, yeah, we're in it right now. This is kind of the steepest little hill, and in years past, this has been where the first break has usually happened. But this time, at least this first lap, it wasn't too hard.
Yeah, and Jesse, kind of spoiler alert, Jesse was the only woman to stay with the men the entire time, this time as well. Jesse's brand new to racing, but she's really strong, and she likes climbing, stuff like that. She's super strong, super small, so obviously getting a draft benefit and these little hills kind of suited her profile. And this is only like her third or fourth race, but she's the only woman that was able to stay with the men, so obviously she wins it easily.
And this first U-turn, you see a few different lines, everyone's discomfort, and typically there's a nice hard acceleration as is shown right here. So this may have been close to my, highest power of the race, just this acceleration out of this first U-turn.
Yeah, so it looks like an easy course, but it's really not. It's actually one of the hardest races in our area here. I know that sounds, it doesn't sound so great, or if you look at the profile of the course, it doesn't seem that hard, but it is. It's a long race. It's usually really windy here. There's a little bit of a crosswind now, but these little hills, they bite a little more than people think they do because the course looks flat. It looks really flat, but it's not. And at race pace, things are hard, If you're just out here riding this course and he has a little 6% kicker, it's no big deal. But when you're at race pace and trying to match everyone else's accelerations and stuff like that, it ends up being like one of the hardest courses in our area.
This downhill, though, you get a little bit of nice recovery. So, it is, you're trying to stay and get a little bit of draft benefit, but I think it makes it feel a little bit easier just because of the little downhill, but then it goes up to the finish and it's a nice little kicker. So there is a lot of hard efforts.
Yeah, normally, like Ellen was saying, often when we race this course, there's either a very high wind or it's raining or really cold, just the time of year that it's raced. This is actually the second time this race was scheduled. The first one ended up getting canceled. But yeah, this, like I said, this is one of the hardest courses and it really takes a toll over time. So that's one full lap right there. They started in the staging area, but that's one full lap of this course. And they have 14 more laps to go. Like I said, it's a 28-mile race. So just the distance alone, it's not your normal crit race. Obviously, it's not a long road race, but it's a pretty tough circuit race.
And this is the longest that I think this category has done. I think in past years it's been maybe 22 miles. And if you get lapped, even less than that, which that has been my experience also.
Yeah, and because the course is so long, like I said, 28 miles, anyone that gets dropped or separated, like it's inevitable you're gonna get lapped. Once you're not in the group, the speed difference is, so extreme that yeah, you're gonna get lapped.
And here I just followed Jess's wheel up. So she went, kind of up the left side and, definitely wanted to race and be in good position. So here we're in really good position towards the front of the race. And I was feeling pretty good at this moment. So it's funny how quickly it can change, though.
Yeah, and kind of a little, it's a little deceptive because racing with the guys, I think things are a little, let me say, like out of context. A lot of people think 4 or 5 guys are slow, and 4 or 5 guys are faster than a lot of higher category. And right now they're just chilling. They're not going as hard. That's why everybody's still with them. And a lot of people like to get upset about the differences between men and women, but there are clear differences. And once these guys start to get competitive and go a little faster, you'll see things will break up really fast. Yeah, and this little hill here too, the camera doesn't do it justice. It says it only goes up to 6%, but it really plays on your body and mind because it looks completely downhill. Coming from a downhill and off that little fast section that you saw after their U-turn, this hill looks like you're still going downhill. And as you can see, you're kind of going away from the mountains there. And those little hills to the front, there's bigger mountains to the left. So it looks like you're going away from the mountains. It looks like you're going downhill. And to feel that sting in your legs and your cadence slow down, it kind of mentally plays on you a little bit. And a lot of people get caught out on how taxing that little hill is. And it's only 0.2 of a mile or so.
It is so hard. Like, yeah, it's hard even just on the warm up. But then when you're trying to match someone else's effort up that hill, and especially, if someone's good at climbing and they can just that's their strong suit, they can just go up it easily, but it's a challenge.
Yeah, and then with this U-turn, and you can tell right before the U-turn, it was downhill again. And then, of course, you're going uphill with the hard acceleration out of the U-turn just to stay attached to the group. So, yeah, like I said, it gets very taxing, even though you have a lot of rest in between. It's definitely more taxing than coming out of corners of a crit. Shout out to the young man here with the yellow socks. This is his very, very first race. Did a great job. You can see he's under geared here, so he just doesn't have the gearing to kind of, keep up with like speeds above 25 miles per hour, basically.
Yeah, I think his name is Zen. I met him after the race, and
yeah, so Ellen and Zen spent a little bit of time together. As you can see, the group has walked away now. Like I said, coming out of that corner, even though you're on a wheel, if you're not having your eyes up and seeing like how far the Peloton gets away, so just that quick, you can see the Peloton's gone. And coming out of the corner, it looked like she was still attached. But if you're far back and there's a little separation. There's a couple riders you can't see around, and it's gone. So you can see the desperation in Ellen now. She's putting in some heavy watts, trying to kind of see if she can catch back up to the peloton. But like I said, once you get separated from the group, it's very hard to catch back up, almost impossible.
And I'm not even sure I realized it. Like Anthony said, I thought it was just, stretched out a little bit, but yeah, that's all she wrote. And I think April's gonna come by in a second and, said like, let's work. And I thought we could still catch back up because the group is just right in front of us.
Yeah, you can see them turning the U-turn right there.
So I was hoping to get a couple riders and work together.
Yeah, that's a big group though, and that big group punches a big hole in the air, and yeah, it's definitely hard to catch. When you're 10 seconds back on a group that's going faster than you, yeah, it's gone.
And there April goes by. So we're gonna try to start working together, and then I tried to pick up Zen. I didn't realize at this time that this was his first race, and he wasn't sure that I was talking to him, and definitely wasn't sure kind of how to rotate and work together. So I spent a little bit too much time, I think, trying to get him on. And you'll see in a second, but April will actually be able to reconnect.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a hard effort to get back into the main group once you get dropped. Get back into the peloton once you're dropped. And somehow April did reconnect with the peloton for maybe a half a lap or so before getting dropped again, and that's probably just because she had to spend so much energy to get back up to him that she wasn't able to recover fast enough to stay in the group.
And you can see here just, there's not a lot of organization, but I saw, Zen was strong. He came by, so I tried to get him to get on. And here's where April's going to really do the effort, I think, up the hill. And
yeah, the group's just right there in front of you guys now. So you're virtually back on if you match her acceleration here, but it's like you're kind of sleeping. And I think sometimes you pay too much attention to trying to get help or organize teamwork with someone else instead of just going. Because that little pause in your effort, because now you're putting in 340 watts when if you would have done that just 3 seconds ago, you would have stayed on April's wheel and been back attached to the group.
Yep, and then this is pretty much the rest of the race is I'm in no man's land, so I'm off the peloton, and I think everyone else who'd been dropped is a little bit further back, so it's just a lonely ride. So here
I don't think it's a lonely ride yet, is it?
There's a little work with Zen, but no, it's for the rest of the time. I'm pretty sure it's by myself.
Yeah, I think at some point April falls back too, and then she's working with one other rider. She's working with one other rider throughout the race, and it was very just stretched out. Like I said at the beginning, racing with the guys, a lot of the girls never saw another guy again. Even though there's a bunch of guys behind them too. There's guys that are dropped as well, and I know there was a small chase group trying to chase Ellen, 4 riders, three girls and one gentleman, maybe even 4 girls and one guy. But you'll see them probably on the other side of the course coming. But Ellen was able to put in basically a TT effort after she settled in. That's the group right there coming on the left side. So it looks like it's a group of 6 right now. But yeah, they're trying to chase Ellen down, and she was able to hold them off even though she was riding solo.
And when you're able to do the effort just by yourself, it felt easier once I settled in, because it's just I'm not having to match efforts in the acceleration. But I did close to a threshold effort for the duration of the race, which was maybe an hour and 15 minutes approximately, which the camera actually died at like 43 minutes or something, which is surprising because usually it can last 2 hours. So wasn't really sure what that was about, but we will save you the pain of just seeing a race of nothing or just me by myself.
Yeah, it's what did you end up averaging? I think what did you do? 230 normalized and 227 average or something like that?
I can't remember. And here again, I was trying to, Zen and I had caught up to each other, and he, but when he took his pull, he, went a little harder, and he said he really appreciated the help and encouragement.
Yeah, and in his first race, like obviously he's trying to catch back up to the peloton, and sometimes you think you can, and it can happen, of course, but honestly, that is pretty much gone. They're still there. I mean, they're not too far ahead right now, but like we said a minute ago, it takes just a lot out of you just even trying to chase, and then you end up going slower once you blow up. Yeah, definitely a good effort though. I'm pretty sure Zen's gonna be pretty good at keep racing, learn a little bit. You'll see he'll get more comfortable on the bike. He's kind of awkward on the bike right now, but he's really strong, so I'm sure he'll learn. The more he races, the better he'll get, and he'll be up there running up front with the rest of the guys. It looks like he's kind of looking around for you a little bit here, though.
Yeah, he wanted to work together, just he didn't realize he was kind of attacking when he went by, or, doing a much stronger, and I knew I didn't want to be sprinting because it's a long race. We're only like 3 laps in, so to have so many laps to go, that it just taxes your legs to put in such a hard acceleration. So, I think on this lap, I'm gonna give up when he on the hill when he really goes. But still, I'm still thinking we can work together at this point. But I think on the hill is when he leaves for good.
Yeah, you got to remember it's lap 3 out of 14 laps. So each lap, I can't remember, they're like 6 minutes, 7-minute laps or so for 2 miles. And I think, what did you guys average, like 20 something miles per hour?
22 maybe.
22 miles per hour.
And I wasn't too upset to get lapped, because then that's a less lap or two that I was having to do solo, suffering by myself.
Yeah, when it's a circuit race or a road race and you get lapped, whenever the leaders finish, that's when the race ends. You don't get to do like all the rest of your laps. If that's they'd be out there waiting forever. For some people got lapped twice, so they'd be out there waiting forever if they had to wait for every individual to finish their laps before starting the next races. So once the leaders finish, everybody else is on when they cross the finish line, they're done as well. And they just rank you still in the same position that you were in, not you don't get any benefit to it or anything. You just do 1 less lap or 2 less laps, however many times you were lapped.
And there you could see I was doing 300 to 400 watts trying to get back on Zen's wheel, and this is where I said, that's a little more than I want to do, so I'm just gonna settle in, and if he comes back later, okay, we'll work together. But he did a great job staying away and even putting in a few extra digs, I think, late in the race to even have a little bit bigger gap on me.
Yeah, if you like I was saying, if he sticks to it, he's going to be pretty good. It's really hard to do what he did. It's hard for people to just really go all out for the entire race, and he's just trying to attack himself basically to get back up to the group. So he's pretty much going as hard as he can for a short VO2 effort, and then sit down for a second, recover, and try to get right back on a sprint again. So that's pretty hard to do for basically an hour. It's like he was doing 30-30s for an hour straight.
And I don't mind a good hard effort by myself, but I know, a lot of people they just want this race makes you want to quit. It is a race of attrition, a lot of times with the elements as well, like we've talked about, because it is just miserable out here with the wind, the rain, the hills, and the loneliness.
Yeah, I have to say too, that cone pattern right there on that first U-turn could definitely be improved. Um, there were more cones on the inside of the turn than there were the outside of the turn, and I know people talked about it on the day that they're a little confused on should they turn first or after the cones. And really, I think the barrier or the border of the course should always have more cones because it lets everyone know I can't go beyond that point. So the border of that U-turn the arc should have had more cones there, and then you only need a few cones in an arc shape at the inside of the turn. But they had it kind of the opposite, and the road just looked open. So I know a couple people were complaining about being confused about that, and I think the cone pattern should always have more cones on the border of the course than it should on the interior of the course.
That makes sense. And in years past, people have gone outside both of the cones, just being, like not being sure where to to turn, because it does look a little confusing. Now, just having done it, I know, no matter what, you go between the cones. So
right, and we have had a nasty crash there one year where some people knew that you're supposed to turn, and others thought you were supposed to turn on the next set of cones. So one group went straight while another group made the U-turn, and they collided. So anyway, that's it for this race. As soon as Ellen passes the finish line, that's kind of going to be it. But yeah, if I remember correctly, I want to say she averaged 22 miles per hour, something like between 217 and 225 average with, I think, 230 something normalized. So yeah, just another good race. The race is, like she said, there's 40 more minutes left in the race, but we'll spare you the pain, even though the scenery is beautiful. And then we'll try to get out the next races pretty soon. We got some pretty good target races coming up. Yeah, so the next one will be Chuck Pontius, and that was a pretty good competitive race there. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
bye.